the sport in America in those early 2010s when it all really kicked off. So it's one of those long-standing ones. Mark Schmidt, his team do a fantastic job, and yeah, just very fortunate to win such a strong field. It's always an event with so many different variables. You have current, wind, tide, you're going through inlets, you got ocean, you got swells. So it's one of those events that you're really considered an all-round, well, like good distance athlete if you do win that one. Yes, you've got guys who've won the event, like Danny Ching's won 4. Fortunately, I've won 3 now. I believe Tituan Pio's won 2. Travis Grant's won a couple. I believe Chase Costas was one of the first ones to ever win one. Probably missing someone big there, but there's not that many winners of the event, so it's nice to have my name up there again. For me, got over here after Sydney, was over, obviously racing there, the Sean Partners Foster Race Week. Did a really good performance there on the ski. So thought coming into it, I felt pretty strong, but generally you don't really know how you're going to go. You're doing a 12-hour time zone change. You've got to do, I think it was upwards of like 40 hours of travel in the end because, then when we lost the boards, there's always all these different variables when you're actually traveling. When I first got over to, well, just before I left actually Sydney to get in the Uber to go to the airport, I was talking to Noik, and Noik had just messaged me, calling me, saying that we weren't going to get the All-Stars on the plane from Thailand. So there's nothing we could do. So obviously posted up on social media and had some great people organise things for me. So thanks to Glenn from Sup North America, who organised my board to come down, Tony Weaver, the local agent over here, and everybody else who sort of were messaging me, trying to help me out and get me aboard for the race. So yeah, I think the flight from Sydney to LA is like 13.5 hours and a couple of hours layover in LA, 4.5 to Raleigh, and then it got delayed 6 hours. So that was awesome. So I actually hired a Silverado, one of the big American trucks. I've never got one of those before, and ended up waiting at the airport for 6 hours for Noik and sleeping in the car and getting a little dinner, and eventually we drove into Wrightsville Beach and staying at the Blockade Runner and got in at 3 a.m. So it's always a good way to start the trip. Then it has some really good clinics all week, so thanks to everybody who signed up for those, and lots of privates, lots of group clinics. It was really great to meet, help, and I guess learn myself from all these awesome paddlers, and just so happy to see the sport still flourishing and new paddlers coming in all the time and really enjoying the sport. So hopefully those type of clinics really push the sport to that next level, and hope that people keep enjoying what they're doing. I think there was, overall at the event, there was about 230 races. In the Graveyard men's race, probably about 80, but they have like the Graveyard, which is 13 miles, the Money Island, which is, or Money in the Harbour, I always get these confused, but one is about 5 miles, one's 8 miles. So they've got sort of races that cater for everybody. Then I guess Friday had a bit of an easier day, didn't have too many clinics, but Tuesday to Friday had a fair few. So that was great. Then coming into Saturday, just I was on the time zone. I was feeling pretty good. I was confident that I could do okay. But coming into competition, not having done the Carolina Cup for 3 years, also not racing really a hard or an international field stand-up paddling race since September last year, I was a bit nervous getting on the start line. There's a lot of young talent coming through, as you saw if you watched the race. I think Danny's 39 or nearly 40, and I'm 31, and I think Ty is the next oldest guy in that pack of 5 that we had going around, and he was 22, I think, and then Noak's just turned 20, and young Shrimpy's 15, so there's plenty of strong young paddlers coming through. But go back to the start of the race, I warmed up well. I felt pretty strong. Was a little bit nervous. Like I hadn't really raced the 14 by 19.75 sprint too much because it was the board that I designed back in 2018 with a few of the guys in Thailand, and it was a board that I really wanted to race. I knew it was going to be a good board, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it never really got raced. So when the opportunity came up to get one, I jumped on it, and it felt really good. Chased the bumps really well downwind. I had the VMG 37 in the board just to give myself that little bit more stability. Still got nightmares from Worlds from not being able to really stand on my board, so I'd definitely go a lot bigger fin at the moment just to, I guess, calm my nerves a little bit. Off the beach, got a good start. I was on the inside corner around the can. Probably should have kicked turn, but played it safe and just did a rail turn. Then going downwind, it was that top five that I just spoke about before, sort of the whole way. Connor probably just fell off us, and we pushed into the inlet about 7Ks in, so we're just kind of chasing bumps. So you could kind of wash ride, but not really. And I don't necessarily like wash riding, especially not downwind or with wind assisted, because it just gets a little bit harder because you're kind of chasing someone's tail rather than actually catching your own water. So coming into the inlet, I probably went a little bit wide, like the tide was running out, and I'd been there on Wednesday. I just sort of did the back half of the course on Wednesday just to get a bit of a paddle in, a bit of preparation for the event, just to see what was happening. And when I came into the inlet, I went a little bit wide because I thought there was a bit more of a sandbar, and there's a bit more swell the other day, and probably went a little bit wide, but I knew I could catch the front pack, so I wasn't too worried about where I came in. I definitely should have cut the corner a little bit. And then coming around through the race, we sort of hugged the northern side coming into Mason Inlet, and then we should have stayed out in the middle because the current was obviously running down the course, and we could have got more current, but when the pack was splitting, I was just trying to go away from people and trying to, I guess, play a few games and try and make sure that the energies are getting used evenly through everybody, so then when we're coming into that final stage, everyone's hurting, not just me. So yeah, we probably allowed Connor and Itzel and I can't remember who else was on that pack, to catch up to us a little bit, but we had a bit of time, so I wasn't too worried. And if they did catch us, even Danny said if they catch us, they're going to be tired. I remember talking to him in the pack a little bit, and so that wasn't too much of a worry. Then coming down the back half and then coming through the channel, I think it's Moffat's channel maybe, coming back into where the Black Blockade Runner is, where they had the salmon buoy that we had to turn around before going back up through Masonboro. Was feeling pretty ordinary at that stage, but I know in distance races, my body and I guess everybody else as well, we all go through different phases. I know Noik started to cramp really bad. I didn't know that at the time, but he did tell me after the race, and I think Danny did notice. Danny was sort of sitting back a bit, Shrimpy was sitting back, and Ty was doing most of the leading. I was probably helping him a little bit more than I probably should have, but I'd sometimes like to be in front and in control rather than sitting back and sitting on the wash, because I can't help myself, and I probably should race a bit smarter next time. But I'll watch the race back and see what I can do better. There's always things you can do better, even if you do win. So coming through that section, the funny thing was my hands started to lock, so especially this finger here. It was locking the whole time, and I was like, okay, I'm really in trouble here. It was about 90 minutes in. I knew we had about half an hour to go, and so I sculled all the water that I had in my Camelback, and I was like, that's the best option. And when my left pec was cramping as well, so it was kind of a bit of a weird sort of setup. I don't know why that pec and that finger was cramping. Obviously, today, my triceps and everything are very, very sore, so not really sure why that happened, but I'll try and work out. I guess I was just paddling hard, and maybe I'm just doing a bit too much on my right, maybe just pushing down through the pec. And so yeah, going across the back there, just drank a lot of water. I tried to relax a little bit. There was kind of like a Coast Guard boat sort of cruising, but it was going so slow we won't get anything off it, so it wasn't much help. Then once we come to Masonboro, I kind of got caught up a little bit with Ty and Shrimpy. We were kind of on top of each other, and I saw Danny go wide into the channel, and he just dropped us 50 meters, and I was like, okay, well that's race done. And I was fighting with those guys, and I decided to step off and actually go to the south where Danny sort of went up the channel, and I changed my technique completely. So I went from doing my normal technique, which is long and strong, or in between, I guess long and strong for me anyway, and went a lot shorter, just lean the catch, try and get the rating up to 60, because I knew I couldn't pull through hard, so I had to just hit the catch and stay there, and that seemed to be working. So I caught back to Danny at the end of the Masonboro breakwall. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. Then as we turn, there's sort of about a 3K sprint towards the end. Then Danny gapped me again, and I knew Shrimpy and Ty were close by as well, but I tried not to focus on them too much, because I was it only really affect what I was doing. I tried to get on Danny, and he gapped me again, and then he sort of stood up a little bit, and it looked like he was hurting. And I spoke to him after the race. He had a bit of leg cramping at that stage as well. So it was good to know that everybody was hurting at that point, because I definitely was. But I just try to dig deep, just try to focus on myself, focus on the catch, focus on every little bump that was coming through. Because we had a lot of swell running and a little bit of wind chop. So there was enough to catch that we weren't kind of sitting on ourselves, sitting on each other. And I came into that Sandbury probably like 40 metres ahead, and every time I do this race, or every time I've been lucky enough to win this race, it's always been so tight at that can, you just can't mess it up. And in my head I was like, don't F it up, like just make sure you get to the beach. But I kick turned just to like play it safe. I was going to rail turn it, but the wind was blowing so hard from the south, it would turn my board, especially with a lot of the volume that we have up in the front on the sprint. So when I was coming in, my forearms went so like completely like blown. Like I couldn't actually grip my paddle. I was like kind of like doing that when I was coming down through the paddle. So that was a real worry, and I wasn't catching any bumps. So Danny really closed on me, and he nearly got that wave. I don't know if you've seen the footage, but he gets that wave and almost catches me. I just get the front of the double up and get up the beach, and huge relief to nail it, because I'd probably given up a little bit towards the end of the race. Not given up, I never give up until I finish the race, but I kind of conceded in my mind that, okay, I was going to get, when I was coming out of Mason Bar, I was going to get third, or I was going to, when I turned the thing, I was like, okay, try and get second. These guys are going to be feeling strong. Like some of those guys are sitting more washed than you. But yeah, got the job done. Very happy to say that I'm a 3-time Carolina Cup champion. It was definitely something that I wanted to do. First win as Bailey's dad, as you saw in the social media post. It's I didn't want to have, I don't know, in my own mind, I guess, like since we've had a child, to like not be able to take that win, you know. So and sort of have to wait a long time, and then obviously with the pandemic, not being able to do too many races and being able to come out and still have that confidence to race well, was a real win for me. So yeah, so stoked, very happy to be to have that win. Going home after this, actually before I go there, we had that little fun sprint race today. I don't know exactly, I think it was a Carolina Cup race, but ICF kind of ran it as well, because it was like a ranking race. So had about 24 starters, 3 heats. So it's good to see like 24 guys turning up and doing that. I didn't really focus on it too much, but it was always good to be there, and obviously everyone was down on the beach, so it's always good to show that you can do that as well. Had some good races. Final, I kind of stuffed it up a little bit. I missed the start, I didn't hear the 1 minute warning, and it was 10 seconds and then go, and I kind of missed it, but that's okay. Got to the can okay, and then I fell, so yeah, it wasn't really my day. I came back around, caught up a little bit, and then I got 6th. That I'm happy with that. I said to myself this morning, I was like, oh, if I can get a top 6, top 6 would be good, top 3 would be excellent. So I got a good result, so I'm pretty happy with that. Got to go home tomorrow afternoon, so back to Perth, back home for 3 weeks. Get set up with Sereno Surf Club for the winter training. So that'll be great to get everyone started again. Then I've got a couple of weeks back in Europe in the start of, what are we in, April, May, June. So looking forward to doing that. Good. Oh, Martin, hey man, glad you're watching. You're up pretty late, so thanks for signing in. I didn't really post this as a live, but anyway, so now we're just what's going on here? Okay, I'm still live. Okay, so yeah, now 2 weeks in Europe, going to do some Euro Tour races. I think I'll do some APP races, and yeah, we're looking forward to being back racing. Looking forward to going home to see Bailey and Christy, and yeah, looking forward to all the other opportunities that the year brings. Big thanks to all my sponsors, obviously the Sean Partners, to Starboard, VMG, Vycobi, Booth Training. Obviously, Booth Training is my own business, but it's one of my main sponsors, and everyone else who does help me out. I really do appreciate it, and yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. Cheers, everyone, and thanks for the support.